Hello, welcome to Fullbase. This is a new channel which will cover the new framework, fullbase.dev. And what we are looking at now is the official landing page. Yep, Fullbase is creating all the code for you. You define a data model and controllers, which will of course be demoed during this video. We support SQL Server, .NET Core, Entity Framework, Svelte, and TypeScript. So that's the stack we are supporting. It's new. It's not released yet. It's in you can call it perhaps alpha testing, which is done by myself. But I'm actually looking for teams to start using this. So if by the end of this video you find it interesting and you are working with a project that is just starting up, or you feel that this sounds interesting, contact me at christian@fullbase.dev and we'll figure something out. Right? Alright, so I'm not here to scare you off, but this is my data model of the example project that I'm using this when I develop Fullbase, one of many projects. And now I think it's good to start off by showing the tool, what the development environment look like, and the output GUI. But just in order to get this, I think I'll spend a couple of seconds to just describe this data model and why it is of interest. So let's say we have projects in the middle of this model. Project has a project type. Project also has two lists. One list of project clients and one list of person and roles. So if we check this left branch here, project client, you see it's basically just a many-to-many. So project can have many client and vice versa. On the other hand, we have a project and connected to persons. So a project can have several persons on it, and a person can belong to several projects. And in this many-to-many table, project, person, role, I also have the possibility to have a role specified. Okay, and then a person has department and gender, and also a client has a person, sort of representative, just to make things complicated in the examples. So that's it, and now we jump over to the developer. This is what that looks like, and we can have a quick check here through the tables. Basically, you have the possibility to group tables in this environment, but I'm not using it here. I'm just having all the tables under one folder. But basically, if we start with a simple one, role, for instance, that one only has a name, role name. Department, same, only one column, department name. So if we go up to person, for instance, you can see that the person has two columns, a username and salary, and then two relations to department and to gender. So that is how you define this. You define it by adding columns or references. So that's how the GUI looks like. So once you have created your entire data structure, then you go over to the controllers and you create controllers for what you want to do. So let's say we have the the simplest controller in this project. It's the role lookup. So we can expand that. And this is how controllers work like in Fullbase. You have three queries, or three lists of queries: filter queries, search queries, and detail queries. And the filter queries, it's basically if you have a search panel where a user enters search criteria. If you have a drop down there, then you need to populate that drop down with data, and that is done via a filter query. So then you can get the data to the filter. The next one, search, is basically when the user has hit the search button. This is what is going to be shown in the search grid. And in this case, it's a list of roles. And when you click a role, what should happen? We should see details for one role. You can view details and edit and save. And that's done automatically by Fullbase. What this means is that now we have enough information. So Fullbase has now created all the backend code for these tables, the entity framework classes, the entity framework context, and also view models. So that data is populated into view models, which is basically auto mapping classes, but a little more easy to work with. And also the same types of classes out on the web, the front-end project in TypeScript. So there will be TypeScript clones as well, identical classes. All right, and when it comes to the GUI, Fullbase will now show you like a basic, simple CRUD page for the roles. So if we go here and have a look at that, and this GUI is extremely engineering. It's this is not intended for your end users. However, it's perfectly operational. It's working really fine. So it's perfect when you are doing prototyping, perhaps discussing with your stakeholders, discussing with end users. It's perfect to use for that. But when it comes to your final product, then you will create your own app, and that doesn't matter if you're using Svelte Kit or you're using any other framework. It's basically just we're building components that you are basically using using part of it. So I can show you quick here the role. We get a menu here with all the automatically generated pages, but now we are on the role lookup. So now you can search, and let's go for project manager. We go to that, and then we can see the name, and we can change it and save it. It's all done out of the box. But it's quite rare that you have these simple pages. Often you have relations between the tables, hopefully. So we can open a fairly simple one, the person lookup, and a person has reference to gender and department. So basically, to create a controller for the person, we drag the tables of person, gender, and department both into the search and to the detail. And when doing so, you can look at the person lookup like this. You can search for now you can search for department and gender. So let's see, we can search for department 2. There we have two people, and we can click this BB guy, and we can change his name, BB_2, and he has an increase in pay. So now he makes 25. Oh, she. Sorry. And let's say that this should no longer be working for department 2. It should be working for department 1 instead. So that we can click that, And now save. And now all of this, the queries have been automatically generated, and also the save methods. So now we have saved. And we can basically just refresh. We can see it's updated to 25, department 1, woman, still woman. So that's how that looks like. And then we can jump over to a more complicated one. We can go to this, the project controller. And here you can see that now we can no longer just drag and drop tables into here and let Fullbase figure everything out. So in this case, we need to specify actually the hierarchy of all the tables that we are referring to. But it's still pretty simple. And in this version of the GUI, it's a text box where you write, like with enter and like that. It will of course be much prettier real soon, but this will most definitely do the trick. So we start off by project, and then you can specify both the parents and children. Just as you can see here, project type, that's a parent, and project person role is a child. But that at least Fullbase will know. So you specify with indentation, the hierarchy, and then Fullbase will generate correct queries and also the save queries. I think it's time for a short demo how to develop your application with Fullbase. So I have now started with a empty project, backend project. I don't have anything in there. On the client side, we have an empty. We only have the standard components that are being used by the demo app, and these are included when you install an empty project. The app.svelte has been configured to use the app demo, and app demo is empty right now. So whenever we build new pages, they will show up here. Okay, we have an empty database, Fullbase demo it's called. No tables, no views, no nothing. And an empty Fullbase developer. So I thought that a good idea could be to create a to-do list. I've seen other using that as an example when testing new frameworks, and I think we can handle that quite easily. And since I already talked a bit on the tool itself and the demo GUI, I will go through this quite quickly. So we need, of course, a table. So we can call that to-do item, and we add a column to it, and I think this will do fine. Perfect. So then we hit save here, and now we get the SQL changes. So Fullbase is trying to create a table. Yeah, fine. Execute. So now if we refresh here, we should see that as a table. All right. We want to be able to add and search and basically CRUD. So what we do is to go to the wizard, create a lookup wizard. We just save. We will search for to-do items, and we will display a to-do item, and you should be able to edit a to-do item. So now everything is done, and we start the backend project. And this is started, yes. Alright, good. Cool. Now we have this page here, to-do item lookup. We can search and we will not find anything, of course. Add. Let's go for item 1 and then add a new one. Item 2. And as you can see here, the this engineering GUI will show a -1 because I've just added it, and once it's saved to the database it becomes the identity. So that's done. We can search and we can see item 1 and item 2. Click item 1 and item 1 comes up and you can change it. Item 2, you can change it, perhaps 2.b. Search 2.b. So now we get a new requirement to our app that a to-do item also shall include a status. Right, so back to the Fullbase developer, and we add a new table. Table that we can, for instance, call to-do status, like that, and we have one column, status name. Alright, if we now hit save here, sorry, I forgot one thing. We need a relation between these two tables also. So if we go to a to-do item, we can see the to-do status as a parent, i.e. you can only have one status on a to-do item. Vice versa, a status can have many to-do items. So technically in Fullbase, how you do that is you go onto the table, click R for a reference. I think by the time you use this, after the beta version, it will not look like this. Hopefully it has been improved a bit. To-do status, just like that. So, and now if we hit save, you can see that we create a new table and we add a foreign key. But if we do this, it will render us with a table with 2 rows and null values in this column. That's not good. So in order to solve this, I think we can add on like so. So now we have added 2 statuses, and I think we can default all the to-do items into status open. So we go for that. So before I hit execute here, I will just explain what I just did and what my plan for the future is when it comes to this. You see, when I on my local computer add a new table here, and when I click save, Fullbase will find that this table is missing and create this SQL. The same goes if I check my code in and another team member checks the code out in a while later. That developer's database will also need this it will be the exact same thing. But my plan now is basically that I connect the insert and update statements that I write now. I connect them to this change, to this create table and this alter table. And that means that when my fellow team member checks out the code, it will automatically create a database on his computer, and it will insert these 2 values on his computer as well, and this will be updated on his computer. And then a week later perhaps we deploy into test environment, and then the same will apply. So when the database is patched to the test environment, these insert statements will be executed. Also, of course, into production. So, but it's not implemented just yet. So now it's just for now. Execute. All right, that seemed to work. If we go to the database again, refresh. Yeah, there we got them. Okay, and also the code has now been regenerated. So the .NET Core code, Visual Studio, you need to stop it and start again. You can hit pause as well, but I always forget that. So in 95% of the cases, this is how it works for me. Okay, now it's up and running. Let's go to the GUI. Sorry, back to the developer, because now we have created a new table and we want to add data to it and change data, and we also want to connect. So we show this, the to-do status on the to-do item when you query the database. But first things first, we go to the to-do status and click the wizard lookup, and that is created. So now we have a page in the demo GUI where you can add statuses. But now we also want to be able to search. When we search for to-do items, we also want to include the status, so we can search up all the items that are open, for instance, and that we can do now. And we also want to, if we are editing a to-do item, we will be able to change the status. So we drag and drop that into there, hit save, and of course I need to rerun this again. So, and now you can see, now we have a new menu item here, to do status lookup, and if we click search, we should be able to see the two we inserted, open and closed, and then we can of course add a new third one, temp, just like that. And now if we go to the to do item lookup, here now you see that this select to do status pops up. So now we can filter on to do status. But first we will check the ones we have. We have item 1 and 2 from before, which we defaulted to open. We create a new one, item 3, and we select the status closed. Save, search, and then we have open, open, closed. So now let's say we go in here and search for all closed ones. Search, then we got that one. Okay, so our users, they have more requirements. So first of all, they want to be able to assign persons working with to-do items, and also when they search for status, they want to see also how many open cases there are and how many closed, etc. All right, so I will just add on these tables. So of course we need a person table and username. I think that will be good enough. Yeah, and then we want to have a table. Since it's a many-to-many, we want person to do item, and we basically just have a reference to person and one reference to do item, like so. The person we need to have a lookup for, so we click there. I think we're fine like that, but let's see, on a person, GUI wise, you want to be able to add on to-do items, and on a to-do item you want to add on persons. So in order to do that, we drag and drop person to do and person, and on the person lookup we do the same thing. We drag and drop the person to do item and the to do item, just like so. So no, I think we can remove this. I think we'll have just a very simple person lookup like so. All right, so I think this looks good. We don't need any special things here. Yep, execute. Cool, and restart the demo app. There we go. And as you see, now we have the person lookup. So we search, we don't have anything there. We add a user 1, and we add a user 2, and why not a third user as well, just like so. And now we go to the to-do item lookup and see what has happened since last time. So let's go to the first item. Yeah, so now you see at the bottom here that we have a list of person to do item. So now we can actually add a person to do item, and this is very engineering, of course, but you can of course use this code in your more adapted Svelte component. So in this case we add a new person to do item. The to do item ID is already set, so we just select which person we want to use here, and we can, let's say we take user 1 and save. So now we have user 1 working on, by the way, we take one more. We add user 1, user 2 as well. So now we have user 1 and user 2 working on this item 1. Save. And then we can go to, if we go back here, and all the information here is correct. And as we have it always in the Fullbase world, if you see something here, you can change it. So if we at the same time want to change the username from u1 to u1.a, you can do that. Save. And now if we go to the person lookup, it's u1.a. Pretty nice. The next thing that I wanted to see the users was a count. I want to see how many cases per status. So now I'm gonna show what that is. So now we need to go to the management studio, and because when you write a view, you always start with SQL, of course. So let's see, we can refresh here. Yeah. It might be that when I edit this, I speed things up and add music or something, but all right. So okay, so that was the SQL. So now we have basically an SQL with status, and we have the number of to-do items on that status. So now we go back to the developer and we add a new view, and we can call this view to-do status. You can have different naming conventions here. I call them typically for augmented. So I have to-do status augmented with information. So that's how I usually do it. And this will also probably look a bit different when you start using this, but you need to pick which table is the master table for this, and it's the to-do status. And we have one column. What was that? It was number of to-dos, and it's an int. Cool. And this will, I think this will be very automatic in the like so. Hit OK there. So now Fullbase wants to create a view which will be named the same as we wrote there and be the SQL that we pasted. So execute. So now we have that view. If we refresh, there we have to-do status org. And where do we want this? Perhaps when you search for status lookups. Yeah, that's good. It's to-do status lookup, and we basically include that here in the search and also in the details. Save and restart. To-do status lookup. So now we can actually have the number of to-dos are part of this. So if you search here, you will see the data from the view. And this is what I think it's when you can't solve things in a normal way, create a view like this, and you can if there is some case that Fullbase doesn't support, there is this workaround, which I think will cover most of the cases. So you cannot change this number too, you can only view it, of course. So that was it. It's glad to see that you are still here. As I said in the beginning, if you are if you feel interested in this and you are starting up a project with this stack that Fullbase supports, don't hesitate, contact me, and we'll set something up. As you saw in the demo, not everything in the Fullbase developer is 100% ready yet, but it's workable and it's still a lot easier than lots of other things. But my plan is to be finished with this within just like a week or two. So just contact me, we'll set something up. I will release videos here whenever things happen. For instance, when I do releases or come up with something new, smart that I want to share with the world. I think you can subscribe to this channel if you're interested. All right, that's it for now. See you next time. Bye bye.